Today I will show you an unusual flashlight Sofirn IF23. An interesting and controversial flashlight has a couple of serious drawbacks, but there are also a lot of advantages, and in the review I will show you both the first and the second. Let's go! The packaging is old black and yellow, but it may also can come to you already in a beautiful modern white box. Everything you need is included. The flashlight with 21,700 battery of 5,000 mAh, a Type-C charging cable, a clip, an O-ring, a manual. As usual, only the holster is missing. The size of the flashlight fits perfectly into the ranks of ordinary pocket ones, but the weight knocks it out of the number of these single models. It's still a bit heavy, in my opinion, but in the hand it is of course pleasantly weighty anyway. It resembles a Nitecore P18 or a similar, but in general, a failed flashlight Lumentop EDC21. Here they are both. Sofirn IF23 looks good, but as usual, its budget category is clear. It's just a flashlight without any obvious designer decorations. But I repeat, it still does not look like a frank cheap basement-made flashlight. The magnet in the tail cap is strong enough to hold the flashlight with the battery inside horizontally. If you use the side light, then the magnet will help you great. The clip is double-sided, constantly in the same position. There is a fairly thick spring in tail cap, and there is a regular contact pad in head. Nothing new. Despite the angularity of the body, or maybe because of it, the flashlight fits comfortably and securely in your hand. Everything is fine here. The flashlight has a Type-C charging connector. The connector cover closes tight, but there is a problem. The small width of the hole around the connector did not allow me to use most of my cables. Charging is fast enough, and the complete 5,000 mAh battery is fully charged in 3 hours. The flashlight supports the power bank mode, and interestingly, the flashlight can be used without a battery. Yes, only in low mode and for the main side light, but in some situations it can help a lot. A medium-sized button with some backlash. I would not say that it is pressed very easily, but I think that IF23 is one of those flashlights that are better to lock when not using. Of course, button has LED indicator. Button is fixed above a metal panel that covers the side LEDs, the main functional feature of this flashlight. They are covered with a textured white plastic plate, and under it is a set of colored and white light LEDs. Cree XHP50B LED at the bottom of a shallow textured reflector is a primary light source. Sofirn SP35, let me remind you, has luminous SST40. There are no surprises in user interface. This is the same Sofirn user interface. Good, convenient, flexible, one on off by click, as usual. Again, as usual, change mode by holding the button. 2 clicks turns on the turbo. With 3 clicks, we turn on the sidebar. There are all sorts of interesting things here. Here, if you hold down the button in white light, then we change the brightness in the same way. Then we make 3 clicks, the color mode turns on, and hold this button and watch the colors begin to change. You can also turn on the side main light at once. On a click from off, we have a hold. On 4 clicks from the off state, the lock is activated. Well, there is an auto lock here, which does not turn off. I don't like this one, to be honest. Well, in general, there is nothing new here. There is no light stabilization. But this is not such a problem. The problem is active and overly aggressive thermal control, the saw of which seriously complicates the use of a flashlight at higher brightness. The flashlight really reacts well to cooling, but the same high mode starts jumping up and down with a crazy saw, but without cooling, the brightness in the high simply falls on the conditional and quite decent 750 lumens. And the worst thing is that everything is the same for the side light, but its maximum brightness is equal to the average brightness of the main light. And it would be great if this brightness behaves exactly the same, because it is in the middle mode that there is no saw for the main light anymore. But on the other hand, you don't even need a turbo side light. See for yourself in the photos. Here is medium mode, which will last about 14 hours and a half. You will have more than enough of this light to illuminate the gazebo or some surfaces, and where you are doing repairs, fix something there. The side light will be suitable for emergency needs. There are also, I remind you, here the modes are multicolored, all sorts of red, flashing. In short, the side light here is really working and it's great. Here the flashlight is quite interesting for itself just by this side light. If it wasn't there, it would be another flashlight. Here it can even illuminate really lot when the side light is turned on. You don't even need it as turbo mode. Well, as for the main light, it is really bright. And high-end turbo modes will allow you to shine really wide and moderately far. As you can see here, this brightness is enough for a suburban area, and you most likely again will not even have to go above the average brightness, not to mention high or turbo. These modes, which just jump up and down in brightness, are even redundant for the maximum of ordinary purposes. As for the range, I would limit the maximum range in turbo to about 150 meters, no more. But both of these modes are more than, I repeat, enough for everyday needs. And if you get these 150 meters of maximum range, they just completely cover all those needs for light, for which you take a flashlight for some very, very ordinary purposes. To yourself there, for a private house, for a country house, for a village, for a plot, for repairs, just in the glove compartment, it is unlikely that you will have to shine further. As for the general impressions, it would be a blatant lie on my part to paint that this is such a wonderful, wonderful good flashlight. Buy it. The flashlight turned out to be far from perfect, and for me it almost repeated the fate of the failed Sofirn SP33 Gen 3T, thanks to this thermal control saw. What else didn't I like? I didn't like the non-deactivable auto lock. Of course, you can get used to it and automatically make 3 clicks every time you take the flashlight out of your pocket, but I never lock the flashlight and I don't want to get used to it. We could still make the lock turn off. I hope that Sofirn will exclude it in next batches. But the aggressive thermoregulation saw strains me much more. Not that in its absence you could use turbo longer, no, it would last the same amount, but the brightness would then just drop to the level of about 500 to 700 lumens without these wild jumps. And it's the same story with high mode. Now it turns out that you have 1.5 or 7 to 8 minutes in each mode, after that the brightness jumps begin and you have to manually switch to the medium mode. Not that this is a problem, I repeat, I am sure that you will have enough of this brightness and the duration of work at this brightness. But why not just set up a regular heat seal, as in almost any other Sofirn flashlight? If you do not see a problem either in auto-locking or in thermal control, if you are not going to use the older modes for a long time, as long as this palavani starts to appear, then you get a real universal flashlight. Sofirn and Workos has already made such models with spot and throw light. This is a headpiece of a Workos HD15 or a Workos TS32. The versatility of the Sofirn IF23 roots in its side light, and this advantage will not manifest itself in every situation. For example, I don't see the Sofirn IF23 as an ordinary pocket flashlight. Here the same Workos TS22 or Sofirn SP35 will turn out to be much more interesting, more practical. But if you live in a private house or are somehow connected with the repair of various equipment, then this side light will show itself from the best side. The flashlight can be magnetized or hung and illuminate a gazebo, a path, or what you are currently repairing. And you can do this even without a battery, just by connecting the flashlight to the power bank. Yes, in the latter case it will not be a bright light, it will be a low mode, but this may be enough for a habit or repair at arm's length. Medium mode is more than enough. You will not face thermoregulation saw and the flashlight will shine for a long time and quite bright. I don't see any significant benefits of colored side light. All these blue-red side light modes seem to me generally useless. But you know, let it be better to be unnecessary than not to be necessary. In short, in my opinion, Sofirn IF23 side light outweighs the disadvantages in the form of non-switchable autolocking and thermoregulation.